Well, hello, my little potato, you beautiful soul. You know, I always like to start off with "I love you." So today I said, I'm gonna take my sister to work. We're gonna leave at 10:50 because I have a call at 11:30. So I got ready, and at 10:45, I went to her room, like, "Hey," and she's like, "Oh, they canceled, so I'm not working until 4," which worked out great because I had that call at 11:30, and I had the other call at noon, and I would much rather take those in AC versus being in the car and feeling hot and like kind of guilty for like running the, whatever. I I like, I know my sister is on a budget and, gas is important and being in the car for 2.5 hours is going to spend gas. It's not a lot, but it's enough. So, just be at home. So uh was like, okay, well, I'm ready. So I went down, and so instead of that, I was already ready. So I went downstairs and I made myself some food. And I said, oh, I'm going to eat a hamburger and rice. And, that's what I'll eat, which is what I've been eating. And then the rice was not made. So then I had to start the rice. But, so I basically made a hamburger, like an actual hamburger. Like I took a slice of bread, cut it in half. It was a, it was a pretty, it was from the loaf. So it was like pretty large. And I put spring greens and some pickles. There was my burger, and I had some, I didn't have chips or anything, but I had that. And then I came upstairs and I had my call at 11:30, got off that call, and then jumped on the other call from noon till almost 2. While I was on that call, somebody else tried to call me, and I'm like, and then sent them to voicemail, and then they called me back, and I'm like, what in the heck? And then, and then somebody else wanted to talk to me. So after I hung up the second call, I called the third person right away and they didn't answer me right away. So I was like, oh, okay. So I had a little bit of a break and then they called me within probably about 10 minutes. So then I was on that call. I was on that call. We left to go get gas and then went to the store to get a drink. And then yeah, so then I talked to them up until I got to my where we thought my sister was working. So we thought she was working at the outlets off 290, which we live on the west side of town, and the outlets are on the northwest side of town. So we drove up there, and then I hung up my third call, and then I was just kind of sitting in the car, like puttering around, and the person who called me before called me back. So then I was on a fourth call. I was very popular today. And then I was figuring out what was going on with the fourth call. And then I'm about done and I was about to go inside. And my sister comes out. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? She says, we're at the wrong place. So we had to drive to the Galleria, which is like 30, 40 minutes from where we were. So then we drove over to the Galleria, which, my sister and I were thinking about getting like a So our favorite restaurant over by Houston Premium Outlets is this restaurant called Red Chicks, which I'm sure I've told you about. It's our favorite. Like, I'm not really a hot chicken person, but that hot chicken with the French toast and the potato wedges and the comeback is so good, right? And so we're like, okay. Well, then because we ended up going to the Galleria area, and by the way, today was National Relaxation Day, which I took it a little too extreme because I did not record last night. I started to record the wind in the willows last night, but after I came back from dinner and I was like starting to fall asleep, and then today I just didn't, and so maybe it will tomorrow or Monday. And that was my own, I got behind because I didn't record, so that's me. But when I was talking to my mentor this morning, I was showing her how my business cards came and how my plan was to like kind of like distribute them. And so I did it the fun way, which was, well, first of all, um, I parked the car over by Saks Fifth Avenue. because that's where my sister was, working. She said to park there. So, um, actually, before I went to Saks Fifth Avenue, I ended up going to my sandwich place and getting my sandwich. And so my sister and I were gonna split it, but then like they cut it, and I was like, well, it's not very big, so I ended up going back later and getting her one so she could have a whole sandwich. But the first one I was like, oh. But I ate the sandwich and I'm like, oh, the sandwich is so good. But it seemed different today. I think that like it's weird, but the arugula was spicier today, more peppery, so it was like more prevalent. And the spicy mayo to me was not as spicy today. So it the bread though was still amazing. I'm like, and I got it with cheese this time with the provolone, and oh my god, like so good. I'm like this the best. I'm like this is the world's best sandwich. Like I'm like this bread is so good and it's so delicious. It's worth every penny. It's still delicious. And then I went inside Saks, and I don't know if remember if I told you, but I seen this interview with Kelsey Ballerini, and she was talking about like worthiness in Christian Louboutin shoes, and I had seen 3 pairs of Christian Louboutin shoes, and I was like, I would like to go try them on just to see. Well, I tried on I went when I went in Saks, it dropped me off right in the Christian Louboutin section. The guy helped me out. He was like super nice, super helpful. And tried on the one pair. They're the nude Dior shoes, which I did like, but I tried on the 80 100 millimeter, and I'm like 100 millimeters too tall for me because I like barely I wear flats. Like I barely wear heels. I was like, oh my god. So I was gonna have to get them in. If I did, I would have to get them in an 85 millimeter. But I did like them. Uh, but like the toe cleavage thing, I'm not really a fan of. I don't really like that. But he said that that's how they are now. Okay. And he said, trust me, I had to get used to it too. It's like, okay. Um, and then I tried on the really colorful ones, and I was like, okay, I liked those a lot. But honestly, my favorite ones were the sneakers. They're sneakers, and they're white sneakers, and they have white pearls on them and like crystals. And the guy actually said that they don't really sell very many of them because they're so expensive. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that because those shoes are like 3,295. But I was like, man, if they made these in black, these shoes would be so dope. And he was like, I mean, I agree with you because he was like, I was like, black leather shoes with like black pearls and black crystals and black beading. I was like, oh, these shoes would look so good in black. He's like, you're so right. I'm like, I know. I was like, put it in the request box or like a rose gold because the white ones to me were more bridal because the pearl. But I mean, if I had the money for it, I would buy them today. I'm like, forget all the other shoes. I'll get those shoes today. Like, no, not like people are like, oh, did you win the lotto? I'm like, yeah, I got Christian Louboutin sneakers, and like it's kind of like undercover. Like people would be like, why did you put red bottoms on your shoes? I'm like, I didn't. They came that way. So, and that's the kind of stuff that I like. And so, like, even though some things I'm like, because actually it's not quite luxury, but it kind of is. If I were to get those shoes, it would be kind of a quiet luxury thing, but not because those shoes aren't quiet. But I love them. And then but what I did was, so my mentor gave me this idea to like take my business cards and just like put it in pockets of stuff, you know? So like shoebox, a purse, like pants pockets, whatever. And so I walked all around Saks Fifth Avenue and I would see shirts or I would see pants or dresses or jackets. And okay, by the way, a lot of the dresses in Saks Fifth Avenue do not have pockets. I don't know what the reason for that is, probably ruins the lines. But I would see dresses, pants, skirts, And I would say, oh, I really like that. So I'd put one in like the pants pocket, or the jacket pocket or anything. And it was kind of like shopping, but not. So saying like, oh, if I would buy this someday, I would buy this someday. I would put like, and like if they had it in the small and the large, I would make sure to put it in the small because I would prefer to buy the size small versus the size large, you know? And I know that sounds silly too, but it's what it is. And so actually because I did it that way, it was so much fun to like give away the cards. I was like, oh, And so I did Saks. I went to like a whole bunch of sections. Um I did Carolina, like there was like little sections, so there's like Carolina Herrera. I did Acros Punto. Just a lot of sections. I did Montclair as I was leaving. Oh, and I put it inside like purses. So there were a few purses that I saw in the beginning that were some were Valentino. Um, I think some were Dior, and I put those in there. And then afterwards, I went to Coach. I went to Kate Spade. I went to Cole Haan. I went to the store called Hobbs London, but I didn't get a good vibe from them, so I only put it in one dress and left. Um, what else was there? Gap, all kinds of places. It was just funny. And there was one that was a model, and there was like a mannequin, and so I put the card in the mannequin's hand, so maybe the person who like picked it up, they needed it. So I just kind of did it that way. And I made friends with the lady at Brunello Cucinelli. I put clothes in there. I put cards in there too. But it was fun, right? And it's funny because, because I do the blogs for Saturday Letters, I happen to know that today is National Relaxation Day. And I did. I relaxed today, and I promoted my company and I still had fun doing it. And it was fun to like put the little cards because they're so tiny. So I did them in Cole Haan. I met in Coach in the men's section. I put them in bags. So that was fun. But it's something interesting that I wanted to share with you today and it's like an observation, and it makes sense to me. And it was, hold on, let me find it. It says it was from David Guillaume, who's part of this program I'm in, and it says the creator relates to you as a loving parent. Ask yourself what any good parent truly wants. Imagine your own child coming to you head down saying, I am a horrible person. I do not deserve good things. I'm going to go sit alone and carry this for the rest of my life. No loving parent would want that. It would break your heart. Your child punishing themselves brings you no joy at all, and it does not make them one bit better. It says the creator feels the same about you. Your guilt does not please the creator, and your self-attack does not purify you. It only feeds the reactive voice and puts distance between you and the light that is always trying to reach you. You do not grow by hating yourself into a new shape. You grow by remembering that your soul is already whole and letting more of it come through. And it made me think, and I'm like, the other day, if you grow up thinking your parents making you feel bad about yourself and saying, oh, you're worthless and you're a piece of shit, then what you do is you kind of make that self-fulfilling prophecy, and then you go and you're like, see, look, I'm a piece of shit. Aren't you proud of me? You made me into a piece of shit. And they're like, no, I didn't. I loved you. But that's what they think in their head, but in reality, you know? And I had a good example of that today where I might ask my dad to use his card so I could go to Kroger. And then after I went to Kroger, I went to HEB. And when I got to HEB, I was like, where's the card? And I lost it somewhere between Kroger and HEB. And I went back to Kroger and I couldn't find it. And I checked everywhere and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I come back. I'm like, Dad, I'm so sorry. I lost the card. I apologize. And he's like, it's okay. You have a really good memory. You're not forgetful. It's an accident. It happens. And I was like, you're not mad? And he goes, no, you don't do that. You don't lose things very often. It's okay. It's not a big deal. And I was like, hmm. And I thought, what a full circle moment. I had that lesson earlier today, and then I got the lesson again at night because I was feeling bad. I was like, my dad, and I was especially feeling bad because he just lost his card recently, and then he had to get it replaced, and now he's having to get it replaced again, except I'm the one who lost it. Um, but yeah, I had a lot of fun today distributing the cards. I probably didn't, I don't know how many I distributed because I took a whole pack with me and I just gave them out and put them into little things. So it was, I would grab a bunch and then put some out and then grab some and then I would need more. So I still have a lot, but I gave out more than I thought I did. So I was very proud of myself today. Oh, and I got the link for the podcast episode that I was on the other day. So I'll share that with you as well. And that was my National Day of Relaxation. Very relaxing indeed. So, yes, thank you for letting me share that with you. And as always, thank you so much for listening. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.